Hello everyone and a warm welcome to another Living Football episode from the home of FIFA here in Zurich, Switzerland. Today we talk about the second edition of the FIFA Diploma in Club Management, the Club Benefit Program and some of the transfer reforms that are being brought in. So let's get started. It wasn't that long ago, in May, our first graduating class of the FIFA Diploma in Club Management celebrated here at the home of FIFA. FIFA President Gianni Infantino presented the certificates to the likes of FIFA World Cup winner Fabio Cannavaro, Nuno Gomes was there, Ariana Crescione, the former PSG goalkeeper and Italian international, many more. But this was not the end, it was just a beginning, because the second edition of the FIFA Diploma in Club Management is already in the starting blocks. And with me is the woman who has made it all happen, Ornella Desiree Bellia, FIFA's Director of Professional Football. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much, Jessica. It's a pleasure to be here, your guest again.
The last time we spoke, you had just handed out the FIFA Diploma in Club Management for the first time. I think these are still memorable moments for you.
Well, as an Italian, the most memorable moment from that edition of the diploma where we were walking through the FIFA Museum with Fabio Cannavaro, and we stopped by the Wall of Champions and we saw his name there, so we took a selfie with him. And for an Italian, you can imagine how special that moment was, because it brought me back to 2006 when we won the World Cup. And
in Germany.
Yeah, in Germany, exactly. And in general, you know, I believe what makes this course special is the people involved. And when you put together top club executives and football players in a room debating how to develop football and exchanging their experiences, only great things can happen. So you can imagine how many good memories we made last year.
Over 30 people graduated that day, including, for example, FIFA World Cup winner Fabio Cannavaro from Italy, FIFA legend Nuno Gomes from Portugal, and many more. How would you summarize the feedback from your students?
Well, the feedback has been over and beyond the expectation. Everybody agreed it was a unique program because of the top speakers that were invited, but also for the high profile of the participants. So we had around 80% of the participants were top executives from clubs around the world, and the remaining part were players, international former players. And it was just about sharing knowledge, and it was about, you know, debating and exchanging concrete problems, concrete challenges that clubs have around the world. So it was something unique for the football community.
And I know that also some great friendships emerged. Okay, we can definitely say that. So the first edition was a huge success. There's no doubt about it. So what are the plans for the second edition now?
Look, we finalized the selection process just a few weeks ago, and we are going to have the first inaugural session in New York in just a couple of weeks. We are very excited because of the profile of those people who will be joining us this year. Again, we will have CEOs from clubs all around the world, and not only international former players, but also some players who are still playing, some big names, but that's a secret. I cannot share it with you. So you must invite me again, and I will share the names
always
in the next episode.
That's great. Yeah, of course. You're always welcome here. You know that, Ornella. But Stephen Mendes, for example, the great American business scholar, will be on board again, as well as David Dean, former co-owner Arsenal FC. What can you tell us about them and their key role for the FIFA Diploma in club management?
Well, as you said, they play a great role. They give a contribution that is invaluable for this course. They help us with the design of the content. They help us with the overall planning, and also they support the participants with the strategic plans they have to develop throughout the course, because this is exactly what the program is about. They have to work on a strategic plan for the upcoming 3 years in order to bring their club to the next level. So the knowledge these people bring to the table is precious, and this is what they bring to the course.
And it's also the mixture, you know, you have people that are not from, let's say, directly the inside football world, like Stephen, you know, and you have these football icons like David Dean. You know, so it's a great mixture. So the list of key speakers is long, and there are many big names from all over the world, as you mentioned. What is your experience? Do the great ones like to share their knowledge?
You know, I've learned that the greatest they are, the more they like to share their experiences.
Yes.
And I'm really amazed and surprised how they can manage to take time out of their busy schedule just to come to our lecture, to share all those experiences, all those challenges they have faced, and also how they managed to overcome those challenges. And what is even more surprising is that the feedback we get is that they have learned actually from giving the lecture.
Yes.
Because those participants who are there always give also their own views, and they share what the challenge has been also for them. So in the end, they also are humble enough to admit that they are learning during the process.
And as you mentioned before, you know, you had many Zoom calls, but now that traveling is possible again, the second edition will be truly global.
Definitely truly global. So we're going to be in the US in 2 weeks' time, then in Asia, in Africa, in the Middle East, in South America, really all over the world, because we want to get closer to the participants in order for them to be able to join in person, because all of them are very busy with their clubs, and we want to give them the opportunity to get closer. And we really believe that bonds just get stronger when you have the possibility to have face-to-face meetings.
So was the interest now for the second edition even bigger than for the first one?
Yes, because now everybody knows about it. So we received close to 400 applications. That's why, you know, making a short list has been one of the toughest tasks we could ever imagine, because all of them had the requirements and had very interesting profiles. So for this edition, actually, we'll have more participants than expected originally, but we believe this is a tool for the football community and for clubs. It's very much in line with FIFA vision of making football truly global and create a system, an ecosystem where more clubs, a larger number of clubs are able to compete at the highest level. So we're really happy to have more clubs joining, and also more players joining, because in this case our vision is to give those players, former players and players who have not retired yet, the possibility, the tools to get the chance one day to run successfully a football club.
And speaking about making football truly global, you have also been instrumental in developing the FIFA Club Benefit Program. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, the World Cup is the greatest sports tournament in the world. And of course, FIFA is aware that also football clubs play an instrumental role to the successful staging of the World Cup. So with the Club Benefit Program, we share 209 million to all the clubs that have made that contribution by releasing their players. So not only the clubs where the players are registered when the World Cup takes place, but also those clubs where the players were registered up to 2 seasons before. So we shared these 209 million among around 400 clubs. And what is very interesting is that, of course, not just top clubs receive a portion of that amount, but a lot of small and medium-sized clubs from really every region of the world. So it's really rewarding when you see that, for example, a club from Africa, a small club from Africa is getting, I don't know, 200,000 US dollars. So for those clubs, this means really a lot. And as FIFA, as football governing body, is really rewarding to pay something back to those who make an effort.
Definitely. And speaking about club football, finally we are reaching the end of the European summer transfer window for a lot of countries now. And I know FIFA has a new monitoring tool to map transfer windows across the world. So what can you tell us about this?
Well, as you said, we have created this digital tool. It's a very user-friendly tool where everybody, not just clubs or federation, but also fans, for example, or everybody who is interested, can check out when the transfer window closes in every country. For football fans, the deadline day, the end of the transfer window is like the most exciting time of the year. So we wanted to give access to all of those fans and clubs to have a very easy tool. And it's on the FIFA professional football landscape, so you can get access to the transfer window countdown.
Grazie mille, Ornella.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure to have you,
Jessica.
and you are always welcome here, as you know.
Thank you very much. See you very soon.
And we will stay with this topic because the modernization of the football transfer system is one of the key goals of FIFA's 2023 vision, focusing on some of the imbalances in world football. So let's hear what FIFA President Gianni Infantino had to say about this during the 71st FIFA Congress last year.
Let me show you just one figure in this respect. The figure you can see here on the screen. In the last pre-COVID year, 2019, the global transfer spend for international transfers was around $7 billion US dollars, moving from one country to the other. The agent fees, players' agent fees, were around 700 million US dollars. And the money which went to training clubs was around 70 million US dollars. I think these figures are quite telling. And I think that we cannot be satisfied with them. And for this reason, we have put in place a clearing house. A clearing house which will work to make sure that those clubs investing in training and being entitled to a training compensation and a solidarity payment will receive the money. With this clearing house, everything will be automatic. And this means concretely that instead of 50 million or 60 or 70 million every year, the clubs will receive every year, the training clubs, up to 300 million, which is money which is due to them, but which is not paid today. 300 million a year for training clubs is a lot of money. Of course, it is our duty to make sure that this is going to happen.
FIFA has put in place 3 transfer reform packages, and today we are speaking about the current status of these reforms with Jan Kleiner, FIFA's new Director Football Regulatory. Jan, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for being with us here.
Thank you.
On the living football sofa, you have just joined FIFA from a higher profile Swiss law firm. You also advised FIFA before. So what motivated you to join the organization?
Well, I think you could say that I'm maybe a lawyer by profession or by education, but in my heart I've always loved football, and ever since I was a kid. Football was something very, very special to me, and as cliched as it may sound, what better place is for a lawyer that loves football than to work in the FIFA legal division, and FIFA is a great company, and it's I'm amazed to be here.
Director Football Regulatory, this is a big responsibility. So massive changes are on the way. Why is it so important to reform the transfer system?
I think what you could say is that the basics of the current transfer system, they go back to 2001 after, you know, the famous Bosman ruling, and then the discussions that followed between all the important stakeholders, FIFA, the European Commission, UEFA, players' representatives, etc. And ever since, there haven't been that many reforms. And when President Infantino presented his vision, one of the key elements was to modernize the football regulatory framework, precisely because it does date back quite some years. And I think that is certainly one of the key reasons and why that is such an important project.
So, and which are the major steps that have been taken so far?
Well, how much time do you have? There have been many. I think one of the key steps was, first of all, to engage with stakeholders. You know, with the clubs, with the players, with the leagues, with confederations, to establish a forum. And that was, to give you an example, the Football Stakeholders Committee, where discussions are held, where you engage with those stakeholders. And from that process, many reforms and many packages followed. And just to give you examples, we're speaking of regulations on agents, establishing the FIFA Clearing House, protection of minors, regulating loans. So there have been plenty, and there will be some more.
As stated by President Gianni Infantino, there's still a heavy imbalance in world football. The global spend on player transfers has been $7 billion in 2019, and it is not reflected in the payment of compensation to training clubs, which was only $70 million. And the agent fees summed up to $700 million. So what are we expecting from this summer transfer period that has just ended?
Well, I have not seen the exact figures yet, but what you can definitely expect is that this concerning trend is continuing, for sure. And in particular, what you mentioned, this gap between transfer spending on agents fees, versus the money that should actually go to training clubs. And that is a very concerning gap.
So in the near future, FIFA will establish a so-called clearinghouse. You already mentioned it. And before we come to the topic, we have a brief video that will explain the FIFA clearinghouse. So Jan, the FIFA Clearing House will soon be established. What are the benefits?
Well, first of all, it's a fantastic project with a lot of benefits. I think, for me, in particular, in the first step, the key benefit will be that payments of training rewards will be automated. We currently still have a system where training clubs have to lodge a claim if they are not automatically paid training rewards, for example, training compensation or solidarity contribution. This will become an automatic system where an electronic player passport is created and an allocation statement is created that automatically defines which payments have to go to which training club, and that will close this gap between training rewards that are actually due and those that are actually paid.
So these small clubs, they won't have to apply for the money, so they will get it automatically?
Yes, exactly. And that will be one key change and in my eyes a very, very fundamental and important change.
Very interesting, Jan. And we also have to talk about the agents. You know, we're talking here about a very transparent and reasonable cap system, right?
Yes, definitely, absolutely.
What are the changes there? What are we expecting?
Well, I think we will go to a system with more transparency, more accountability, a system with increased professional standards, a system that will benefit agents, because those that will comply with the rule, they will benefit from the system.
Yeah, and how do you see the social aspect that these rules also help to maintain the core values of football?
Well, I think the social aspect plays a very important role. If we think that in our European model of sports, in the pyramid model that we all know, one of the key features is that money flows from the elite level down to grassroots level. And that is, for example, done with training rewards. Now, when we have a system where either those training rewards are not paid at all, or there are, for example, excessive commissions that flow out of football, that money doesn't trickle downwards to grassroots football. And that is something that, of course, should be prevented. And there, I think, is a very important part of that social aspect.
So thank you also for protecting these core values of football now here within FIFA. Jan Kleiner, FIFA's new Director of Football Regulatory. We hope to see you more often here on the Living Football Sofa. We have a lot of questions for you. To all the FIFA fans out there, this was it for this Living Football episode. Thank you for watching, everyone. See you again for episode 13. Until then, have a great time, stay healthy, and bye-bye.